Morning on this beautiful Sunday morning. We'll have you join us for this walk in the park this morning. Beautiful Sunday, October morning, a day that touts that it will reach the 80-degree mark. I wanted to talk to you by talking to myself here in the park. And the importance of change is something that's been on my mind, right? A lot of people say, well, change is bad, or change is something that they don't want to try because they're used to doing the things a certain way. Well, if it wasn't for the things that have changed to make us live the life that we're used to living now, then things wouldn't be the same, and things wouldn't be in a way that you're comfortable to. And it's in that comfort that you want to see some change. And that feeling, I'm going to say, is something that connects us all as human beings, right? For example, yesterday I was wearing a shirt that had no logo, and here I am today wearing a shirt that says REM. For example, right behind me, you see a creek that goes all the way around to the other side, and all this area before was full of trees and bushes, and you can see deer running around it. And the other thing you could see around it was apparently floating bodies, because it was an area where people used to go and commit crime unbothered by people's eyes watching over them. So something had to change. So as you see, this area is getting ready for construction, right? Huh? There it is. All that area over there, right? That semicircle that you see leading up to that stone bridge was all covered in trees, and it was home to many animals, many woodpeckers, many bluebirds. In the winter, you can see the leaves naturally change colors into an autumnal spectrum of color theory in the living flesh. But now you could actually argue that it took away the animals' homes, but you can also effectively argue that now not only can you see the water, you can see who's walking in front of you and who's walking behind you, because there are less places to hide. So in having changed that, what some people might take as for the worse, there are also some pros in there that say, well, there's a lot of better in it. They'll probably turn this area over here into a place where you can go and recreate, meaning recreation, or a place where you can go and fish, or just a place that now it serves as a dual purpose as a jogging trail. Because what does that look like back there? It looks like it's probably going to be a jogging trail that's going to then connect to the highway. So getting back to change, if you're used to going out with your cell phone in front of you and your cell phone leading you, you still want to keep your head on a swivel, because part of the reason they made this big change is not for the person that is no longer with us, but possibly because they checked the cameras and they checked the crime and stats report, and they realized that, well, we need to change this, because if we have open hours for this park and people who come here don't feel safe, well, you really don't have a park. You really can't make any money or tout a tourist attraction, not a very promising one at least, if people don't feel safe when they come here, even to walk their dogs or even jog, like I was doing this morning. So I'm coming this way to show you how much of the trees they cut down. And usually what's done in the best interest, it's really in the best interest of humans, not animals, whether you see them as equals or not. This is something that has forever been the case. Walking on that bridge, I just want to show you the extent of trees that they cut down. me straighten this out. There you are. And right there you can see there was a pretty old tree there. If you count the rings, it probably goes past 100, probably 150, probably even 200. But you have to get to give, especially if you live in an area that's very secluded. You never know what's watching. Sometimes the best way to navigate this area is to have an aura of invisibility. And you give up that invisibility. How? By talking like I'm doing right now. As soon as a human being walks to an area that has a lot of animals or animals that are up in the trees, like birds, squirrels, you'll see that they quickly stop. They start communicating with one another, possibly telling them or alerting other animals that there's a human nearby. And biologically, there's some intuitive knowledge that these animals know what to do and how to react when humans are nearby. So here you have a lot of construction equipment unattended, which may or may not be a good idea if you are in a big city. You might just wake up one day and see that a lot of these animals are gone. A lot of these tools are gone. And if you see me twisting my head left and right, it's because I am aware of my surroundings at all times, even as I'm talking. That's a skill that you develop if you're born in a city. What you have is the element of surprise. So getting back to invisibility, sometimes the best thing that you can do in an area like this is either be extra loud or extra quiet. If you're by yourself or unarmed, I would say extra quiet. The moment that someone knows that you're there, you alert someone that you're there. It's not like a wild animal, in that sometimes wild animals are startled by your presence, especially if they've already eaten that day, they're not hungry. A human being might be attracted to that noise or noises that will signal to them, here is my chance to do whatever. And especially when people know that you don't have anything on you, it's a very human thing that I've learned in my experience here on this earth, that you will try to see what you can get from that individual, even if there's a little struggle, even if I can overpower, especially if I can overpower the person. Turn this camera around so you can see the extent of it. They might want to drain this for a certain reason, possibly to prevent erosion from flooding. I know there are numerous tests, and this area has been under surveillance by environmental groups for a very long time. And this is perhaps part of to complete that mission. Anytime you see tractors, it's for what's coming. It's not to help what's already there usually, but maybe to add to it or to change it completely for what they believe is best for humans, or for whatever company that do a favor for, whether in construction or safety itself. You probably see a lot more cameras around here. See a lot of this wood. I don't think they're gonna build a railroad track, but who knows? The community, a lot of times, is the last to find out after it's already made. Perhaps that's a sign about whether you are part of the community involvement that's aware of all these things happening, nice sound from the creek, or whether you are oblivious and really don't care about what's happening, as long as you can have a nice day. Both are your decisions to make, until you find yourself going through a bridge, going through your lawn that you didn't know was in the works to be there just a few months ago. So there's a trail right here in front of me. Never get rid of your explorative spirit, even with the dangers that can arise from you doing so within reason. There's a bulldozer. See if we can go to the other end of it. So what it looks like to me is that they're clearing this area off for some sort of run trail or bike trail, or something that the city can say, well, this is something that we did for the citizens that wasn't there before, like bike lanes in the middle of parking spots, speed bumps in the middle of residential areas that no one really, except no politician wants to leave office with a whole bunch of money in their pocket, and said that at least they didn't put up a speed bump in a residential neighborhood. Never underestimate the power of politicians' influence when it comes to trying to secure votes. So here you see in front of me, like a game of Grand Theft Auto, after you beat the game. It goes down. You could tell path was cleared for a bulldozer or something, perhaps to clear the water. Perhaps the water was making stoppages and floods in areas where before it wasn't, and maybe this is part of that project to fix it. Who knows? Now we're at the water's edge. And before, this wasn't possible because they just had so much shrub, trees in the way, things like that. The water's flowing freely, but it was before too. You just couldn't see anything in it. Perhaps a good place to come magnet fishing, but not yet. Not in its current state. Sometimes the best part about, you see an ambulance. Hope the person's okay. Sometimes the best part about going someplace that you're used to going to is that it hasn't been discovered by a lot of people yet. So here on the ground, so if you turn the camera on the ground, it looked like there was some kind of walkway here before with a lot of logs on the floor. It looked like used to be some kind of railroad or walkway in antiquity, maybe for the World's Fair that happened in the last part of the early part of the 1900s, right? It's always something big happened at the beginning, the early years of a new century. It's not like in a more commercial area where you have signs posted everywhere saying this is what's gonna be there now. This is what you can expect to come, a high rise or a new mall, a new Taco Del Fio, a new Sbarro's Pizza, and the subway. There's no signs posting to that, alluding to that at all. Here are some other logs. I don't know if these are ready to go in or if they've been uprooted, but they're neatly piled to about 6 feet. And there you have the porta potties on the other side. There are about 9 of them, 10 of them, which means they expect a big project or they just don't want to switch the porta potties that can get dirty very quickly every week. And as you know, many of these projects, there's a lot of money that goes into them, and because a lot of money goes into them, either two things: they're gonna milk it for all it's worth, or they'll start working now that even though in October it's warm, and they'll stop when the weather starts getting colder, probably in another few weeks, hopefully not, and they'll sit on it the whole winter until the weather starts getting warm again, sometimes in March. Keep an eye on those things. You'll see if what I'm saying is true or not. It's a beautiful stone archway. Over here, it's a single one on this side. The other side had 2 of them. So this kind of change, depending on how you see it, is beneficial or it's not beneficial. The speed bumps I was talking about earlier in major cities, the residents a lot of times are split when it comes to this because they do want safer streets. They always bring up the stat that bike lanes take away accidents, but then the argument is how many people really ride bikes compared to driving and parking. So the counter argument would be it takes away parking and it makes streets unsafer because now you have less space in case of an emergency. Emergency vehicles can't get through. So two people might be saved, but now the street is one way, and if you have deliveries being made, they can't be made in a timely fashion. They can't park, even because there's no loading zones in these areas. Just almost impossible to do. Some of these streets weren't meant for big cars as we have here in America. They're made for horses and carriage or just pedestrian traffic. Let's see how far we can go into the other side. Jim Morrison. As you walk, you want to keep a good stride about you. Not a robotic stride or semi-military, semi-confident. Semi-military, confident, but dangerous at the same time. You don't want to make yourself into an easy mark, but you also don't want to become so dangerous that you can take yourself away from being helped or protected in any situation. If you have to choose, just become more dangerous and deal with the repercussions. So that's where we're at. You see, this is a big job. See a robin just cut in front of us. And robins usually, if you see a robin, it usually means that, and it's so close, it means that people have not walked in this area recently, because they usually don't stick around. Anytime you see animals fly away as you get there, that means that this area has been clear of people for a while. Animals usually don't stick around to wait for humans because of their, what I call their biological intuition when it comes to the more dangerous of us in the area. Animals respect danger, right? Tend to do very well. Animals respect danger. They tend to stay away from humans mostly 90% of the time. If you live in Florida, places in Florida, you've got to expect an alligator or two, or in Australia, a giant spider or two inside your place of residence, because that's just the way the layout of your land was created. And if you see people ahead, or you see cars that you don't recognize ahead, I'm giving you good information here that you can take home with you. And you're behind the bush, stay behind the bush, because behind the bush is where you can see and observe and you can hear. Because if you can see them and they can't see you, you have an advantage. So anytime you walk in an area, whether you have a firearm or not, you want to create an advantage, you want to create leverage. So if someone can see you, you lose the advantage because they're kind of just waiting on your next move. If they can't see you, you have the advantage because you can either start preparing yourself for the battle that's going to come your way, the hell that's going to come your way, or you can choose to go in another direction. You can take an object, throw it in one direction, make a noise in another direction. There are a lot of things that your mind will come up with when it comes to preserving your life, right? That's what this is about, right? Changes. There's some people who can't do much for their lives anymore, and those people are on the ground as we walk right in front of this military cemetery. A lot of these cemeteries are in areas that are nice for a cemetery, but just the community is not very nice, or people have accepted that this is the way that life must continue, or people feel that if they talk about something that the community might deem as offensive, then progress must be stopped completely, and they will continue to live in that fear. But whether you agree with it or not, change is inevitable. And the things that were, and the things that you said used to be, or things that you said were created with such respect, whether it's a tree, human life, or a job, or residence, whatever, it can all change, sometimes because of your doing, but a lot of times it's just what a group of people decided to do. So you have to be ready for it. All right, there's some smoke up there, right? I see smoke up there. What does that mean? That means somebody's up there. Why is there smoke up there? I have no idea. But what does somebody who's alert, if it's coming towards their home, they investigate, or they prepare to move. See a whole bunch of trees, you see a whole bunch of smoke. Eventually, you know that it's gonna come your way, and you don't stick around to find out why is there smoke up there. You just start moving, especially on a hot day like this and brushes like that. You can expect that to spread quickly. You always have to be alert of your surroundings. It smells like rubber burning. It could be somebody just doing construction up there, but that's what your mind goes to, the safest answer. But it could also just signal to you it's time to leave. Watch what animals do. You would rarely be disappointed or led astray. Animals are our best indicator many times, especially out in the wild, as to what you should be doing. Signing off. Change. Try something new. Take a new way home. Look out for things that you didn't notice before you thought were unimportant. Look for dangers where you didn't think there would be any. Because that's the easiest way for you to fall in the hands of criminals and become a victim. Do you always have to look out for criminals even in safe areas? Yes. Because safe areas has the reputation of being safe, but that doesn't mean that you have the option to not guard yourself. It's your responsibility ultimately. Smoke is out. But then you have to think, what caused it? Was it somebody? Was it on purpose? Was it the parks department trying to get rid of an area? Or was it something more malicious? Especially in the United States, you know, everybody has a firearm, whether legally or not. If someone is crazy enough to do something that they're not supposed to do, what makes them think they're going to stop just at that and just leave you alone? Why? Take care of yourself.